Harriet Hageman was done playing games.
So Mr. Raskin's statement that someone was a convicted insurrectionist is actually inaccurate. Isn't that correct?
I wouldn't say it's inaccurate. A convicted insurrectionist.
She wasn't a convicted insurrectionist, was she?
Would the gentlelady yield?
No, I will not.
During a recent hearing on the events that unfolded on January 6th, the Congresswoman opened by shutting down Jamie Raskin, then shifted focus to how the FBI failed to carry out one of the most basic duties following that event. And today, we're covering it all. So, let's jump right into it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Romano, did you prosecute anyone related to January 6th for engaging in an insurrection?
No, Congresswoman.
I didn't think so. So Mr. Raskin's statement that someone was a convicted insurrectionist is actually inaccurate. Isn't that correct?
I wouldn't say it's inaccurate. A convicted insurrectionist.
She wasn't a convicted insurrectionist, was she?
Would the gentlelady yield?
No, I will not. Mr. Romano.
Do you accept seditious conspiracy as insurrection?
Mr. Romano, I will reclaim my time. Mr. Romano, did you prosecute anyone for engaging in an insurrection related to January 6th?
For the crime of insurrection?
You did not, did you? This select subcommittee is committed to undertaking the investigation that the first select committee never conducted. How did this security failure on January 6th happen, and how do we ensure it does not happen again? Since the pipe bomb split the USCP posture and thereby facilitated the breach of the Capitol, we must begin with this issue.
Now, you've heard the word insurrection thrown around a lot when it comes to January 6th. But here's what often gets missed. Not a single person was actually charged with it. Most serious charges brought forward was sedition conspiracy, and even that was limited to a small number of leaders or founders of the groups tied to organizing that day. Jack Smith's report even stated they, quote, considered charging Trump under the Insurrection Act, but ultimately decided that it posed legal risks and there was insufficient evidence of intent. Now, keep in mind, this was during a time when misdemeanors were being upgraded to felonies. So if there was a solid case, they likely would have pursued it. Hageman then took it further, turning attention to the FBI's handling of the pipe bomb investigation. And she made some valid points.
My first question is, why did a new team under Director Patel in just 2 months do what the FBI failed to do over 4 years with the exact same evidence? The answer appears to be a failure from the very start of the FBI's response. As a subcommittee of the Judiciary Committee that oversees the DOJ and FBI, it necessitates that we begin right here. According to what we have been led to believe, the pipe bombs were placed outside the RNC and DNC on the evening of January 5th. They allegedly sat there undetected for 17 hours before the device behind the RNC was discovered at approximately 12:38 p.m., with the device at the DNC immediately discovered thereafter at 1:05 p.m. The pipe bomb outside the RNC was discovered by Carlin Younger, who lived near the RNC and discovered the pipe bomb in the unmarked alley between the Capitol Hill Club and RNC while doing her laundry. She alerted the RNC security, who had then alerted the authorities. Oddly enough, no one from the FBI contacted Ms. Younger.
Believe it or not, that wasn't the only shortcoming of the FBI that day. According to a report from the DOJ's Inspector General, there was a failure to canvass all of the field offices for source reporting about possible violence, which former Deputy Director Paul Abate described as a, quote, basic step that was missed. The same report also revealed that, quote, 26 FBI confidential human sources were in D.C. on January 6. 4 of them ended up entering the Capitol building, and 13 went into the restricted area. And this came after years of claims that nothing like that happened. Hageman asked one key witness about the failures when it comes to the pipe bomb story, and let's just say his answers don't paint a pretty picture.
2 days later, on January 8th, Ms. Younger had to proactively contact the FBI through an online tip to identify herself as the person who discovered the pipe bomb and to offer her assistance with the case because she had not yet been contacted by the FBI. Ms. Nance, or Mr. Nance, would you agree that it would be standard operating procedure and good investigative practice to interview all of the eyewitnesses?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be standard practice to make sure that you cast a broad enough net so that you're interviewing any witness that could possibly provide information with regard to the progress of the investigation.
Well, can you think of any reason as to why the FBI did not seek to immediately speak to the person who actually found the bomb?
Well, no, that's a problem. That's a question that needs to be answered. And does it go to lack of resources? I mean, that's still very, very early. So I find that to be extremely problematic.
Yeah, it's a serious problem, especially since the targets were the national headquarters of both parties. Mr. Nance is speaking from experience, considering he worked 15 years as an FBI agent and nearly 3 decades in law enforcement. Now, when it comes to the individual behind these pipe bombs, an arrest was finally made in December of last year. And when asked why he did it, the suspect reportedly said, quote, "I really don't like either party at this point." And went on to explain, quote, he got the idea from his interest in history, specifically the Troubles in Ireland. The fact that it took 5 years to track him down, especially with how advanced our government surveillance technology and methods are today, says a lot about leadership priorities, which is the exact point Hageman expanded on, saying this.
If, in fact, the bombs were placed the night of the 5th, they sat there for 17 hours in a highly trafficked area, undisguised, without detection, until the most crucial time for security that day, which was when Congress was voting to certify the election. Mr. Nance, what should the FBI have done with this contradicting evidence?
Well, the Bureau should have run that all to ground. I mean, every resource should have been made available to make sure that that those questions got answered, and that simply did not happen. And I think that had to do with a less than ideal leadership posture.
Well, I think that's the understatement of the century, Mr. Nance. Does the fact that these devices were not detected for 17 hours raise any questions for you?
Well, of course, I think it does for everybody. Though the January 6th investigation was just beginning, and I suppose you could make an argument that resources were stretched thin, the gravity of the placement of these, where these pipe bombs were placed, suggests that should have received, at least the same or equivalent amount of resources that the broader J6 investigation.
Well, then I appreciate not only did it not receive the attention, the January 6th committee entirely ignored the placement of those bombs, which tells you that they had an agenda.
Yep. We've heard every name tied to that fateful day and every detail broken down again and again. Yet this specific case stayed in the background for years. And it wasn't due to limited resources. Millions were spent, and a large number of personnel were assigned to anything related to January 6th. So, what changed? Why did it take this long to finally solve? It comes down to priorities at the top. When leadership focuses elsewhere, even major investigations can lose momentum and sit unresolved far longer than they should. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this story. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, keep thinking.